Okay, can we talk? Can we just talk? Come in here, let's talk. Let's talk about these myths, okay? That are running rampant on the internet around the world. And these aren't new. These aren't new. It's just that the internet is the internet. I just can't. Myth number 1. The Bible was written by white men. Please do your research and check me on this. Race was not an issue. Race was not a concern. Race was not even a thing in the ancient days. There was no such thing as white men, black men, Asian men. What there was were nationalities, families, cultures, ethnicities. There was no such thing as race. Race wasn't made a part of culture or human society until about the 1600s, 1700s, and the Europeans used race to justify slavery. Now, that's a whole nother conversation that we could have on history, but we're not doing that here. That's when race started. What we have learned so far is that the Bible was written or began to be written during the Babylonian exile, which started in 597 BC. So whoever started writing the Bible in 597 BC never heard of white people. They never heard of the white man. They were Jewish. They were Israelites. They had nothing to do with white men. Let's get that one out of here. Come on. The second myth we're going to bust is actually a myth within a myth. So there's this myth circulating on the internet that Eve was not the first woman and that Eve was not the first wife of Adam. Wrong. Back during the times when the Bible was being written, people were beginning to write, people were beginning to copy things down on paper and keep records of things happening on paper. So a lot of literature comes out of the period when the Bible is being compiled and written. People were writing commentary to the biblical scriptures. The Lilith came about because of a misinterpretation of Genesis 1 and 2. In Genesis chapter 1, we have the creation story. It goes through and explains what God did on each day and how creation began. In Genesis 1 and 27, it describes how God created humans in his own image. God created man and God created woman. Later in Genesis chapter 2, around verses 21 and 22, it describes how God took the rib from Adam's side and created woman, Eve. So what happened was, this was misunderstood. What was believed by some, a very small fringe, was that there was an original woman that was created in Genesis chapter 1. I don't know what happened to her. And then there was another woman that was created in Genesis chapter 2. Genesis chapter 1 was the overall. Genesis chapter 2 broke it down. So anyway, the people who misunderstood this just took it and ran with it. There was this original woman. We're going to call her Lilith. She was Adam's original wife. The Bible doesn't explain what happens to her, which is interesting because if the Bible intended for chapter 1 to be describing the Lilith, you would think that the Bible would explain what happened to her. But it doesn't. So, Jewish mythology, in chapter 1, Lilith was there. She was Adam's first wife. Genesis chapter 2, whatever happened to Lilith. And then there was Eve, Adam's second wife. That is Jewish mythology, okay? That was not Israel's history. You don't see that story recorded in the Bible because that wasn't Jewish or Israelite history. And that kind of leads me to the third myth that I want to debunk. You see people questioning things like, well, why isn't the Lilith in the Bible? And why isn't the book of Enoch in the Bible? And why isn't the book of, Judah in the Bible? Okay, so we've learned so far that the Bible is a historical record. The Israelites, the Jews, put their history down in writing so that they could pass it on from generation to generation. Other people were writing books during that time. It's not like everything that was written during that time would be a part of the Israelites' historical record. People were writing stories. People were writing fables. People were writing commentaries on the scriptures. That doesn't make it part of the Bible. It's almost like, let's say Barack Obama hired somebody to do his autobiography, and they walked with him and they talked with him and they talked to his family members and they talked to the people that were around him every day, all day, every day. And they wrote his autobiography by getting interviews from family, interviews from friends, interviews from the people who worked with him day in and day out. And then I decided, well, you know what? I'm living in Kentucky and I'm going to write about Barack Obama, okay? And in 2,000 years from now, when y'all find the autobiography of Barack Obama and y'all find my book, and y'all are wondering why my book isn't included in the autobiography of Barack Obama, why would it be? That's my story. That's my, whatever I created about Barack Obama. He has his history, and then you have other people writing things about him that's probably not a part of his history. So we have to get out of this idea that just because a book is ancient, an ancient book is written, that it belongs in the Bible. If it did, it would be in there. Y'all, I think that's enough myth busting for right now. We will definitely come back and bust some more of these myths. If you have any myths that you've heard of, I think they're fascinating. I think they're interesting. I think they're weird. But post them in the comments and let's do some research on them. Let's review them and let's bust these myths, okay? We're learning and we're having fun. So bring them on. Bye for now.